Hello everybody, I'm Ard, and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. This week, I am all tooled up for some danger. I said I was going to go kill the Ender Dragon in the near future, and I think now is the time. I don't have an immediate need for the End Stone, but it can't hurt to be ready for the very near future. So, with that in mind, why don't we get started? Before we get going, there's a couple things we want to bring with us, just so we're ready for when we get there. 1. We need Eyes of Ender to even find the Ender Dragon and the End Portal itself. They're pretty simple to make, the recipe has not been changed, just Ender Pearl and a Blaze Powder. 2nd, we're bringing some glass bottles to gather up Dragon's Breath if I don't forget. Very, very high odds I'm going to forget, but just in case, we've got some. And lastly, we need to make a Tinker's Construct Sledgehammer to bring back crushed endstone from the end with us when we go to save us a trip later. And to make it, you might have noticed that I have a bunch of paper in my inventory, and that's because we're going to make a paper sledgehammer to try to make an indestructible one. So start by making the head, the binding, and the tool rod. And we just slap those together. Now, as to the reason why we're doing this, is to give the writable ability to it, which gives us 4 modifiers. When this levels up, it'll be able to put a 5th one on it, but for now we have to work with what we have. This will let us make it indestructible in the long term, though. And how do we make it indestructible? Well, if you remember my loot boxes over the time, I've been getting these reinforcement modifiers. 5 of them makes it indestructible. And to make it, it's harder than it normally is outside of Enigmatica, but it's still pretty easy. It's just obsidian and gold, which we have plenty of. So what we need to do next is start putting the reinforcement mods on it. And there we go, reinforced 4. Once we get the 5th one on it, it'll be reinforced 5. But we'll have to level it up a little bit. So let me go smash some stuff real fast so I don't have to do this later. Alright, I went and leveled up the sledgehammer, and it's a good thing I decided to do it in the nether, because it reminded me that I needed to make a sharpening kit. And it's a good thing I did it before I left, because it has to be high enough to actually mine endstone. I already couldn't do netherrack. But I gathered some netherrack to go sieve later. I'll probably go back and get a bunch more, but for now this is a good starting point. So I guess we can go pack up my stuff and go get started with trying to find an end portal. Alright, so to find an end portal, you just take your Eye of Ender and throw it out there with a right click and just follow it and head in the direction that it's going. And you just keep following it till it drops straight into the ground. So let me go track this down, it could be a while. Alright, so I think I'm about where we're supposed to be. It's this island right here. Our base is normally right down here, so we're not too far away, but it was kind of a trudge over the water. Thankfully I can fly. So now the next step is to pretty much dig straight down and look for a dungeon. So let me get started on that. Alright, so I did some digging around. I ended up in this weird Elder Prismarine cave, but I think I found the dungeon. It's usually has these iron bars in it and a whole bunch of doors to cordon off rooms. I need to go wander around until I find the portal room now. This might take me a little bit, so I'll check back in a few. Alright, I finally found the portal room, and this dungeon was just horribly broken in its layout. So to open the portal, you just need to put Eyes of Ender in all the missing spots. And it opens up. So let's go do this. And here we are in the end on our starting platform outside where the Ender Dragon is. So let me see if I can get up here without engaging everything. Yep, there's the Ender Dragon flying around his pillars. What we need to do is blow up all the things on top of the pillars, all of the end crystals, and then we can fight the dragon. Alright, got the dragon, and you notice I was standing in the dragon's breath for a while. It's not that I forgot to bottle the breath, it's that I forgot to bring the bottles. They ended up back in my storage when I dumped a bunch of things back in my base. So, that's not great. But I also forgot the means to get the dragon egg. But at least now the portal's back open to leave, so now we can go pick up all the fun stuff. Alright, so the thing that I forgot was to bring a piston, because we want to get the dragon egg, because I want to use the dragon egg yet. And the only way to get the dragon egg is to do something that breaks the block, basically. In this case, a piston. Otherwise, you touch it and it moves, just like I did now, and I've got to find it again. In an area full of Endermen. Okay, there we go. Now I've got it placed correctly. I'm really bad at this. And pop. And there it goes. Okay. Okay, so the other thing I should show you while we're here is that on the periphery of the Ender Dragon's island, after he dies, there are these portal structures that appear up in the air. What you do is you take an Ender Pearl and you throw it in. And it teleports you quite a ways away from the island that you started on, where there's a wide ring of islands and cities surrounding it that you can then raid. This is out where you find shulker boxes and end rods and all that other stuff. So let me go poke around for a little bit and go get some crushed endstone. Okay, so I found a small end structure pretty quickly. So let's just go up to the top of it and start up there and see what we can find loot-wise. I mean, this is where you would also get the elytras, except I totally don't need an elytra for what I'm doing. Don't really need shulkers either, but I might come back here to try to capture one to put in a spawner. To put in a spawner just on principle. And just like in dungeons, the chests here can actually be pretty lucrative. You can see there's a bunch of interesting loot in here. Alright, so now that we're safely back from fighting the dragon, well, let's go on to part 2 of our very special episode. And let's fight some withers, because I need ender stars for the next part of this plan. So here we go. Well, that certainly made a mess, but we got the Ender Star. Unfortunately, I need more than one, so time for me to re-rack into it again. Alright, that one was a bit easier, so now I've got my 2 stars. Now to show you what I'm going to do with them. Alright, so we've got a dragon egg and 2 nether stars, and the whole purpose is so we can make the dragon egg mill from extra utils to give us a whole bunch of grid power for free, basically. It's pretty simple to make overall. The weirdest looking thing here is the eye redstone, but it's actually really simple to make. Alright, and we'll just slap it down here with our fire mills, because why not? Toss the egg on top, and now we have, instead of 40 grid power, 540, which should last us quite a while. Alright, so you might be asking yourself, why did we go to the trouble of killing the withers and the end dragon and setting up the dragon egg mill if it just creates grid power, which is pretty much only used by the resonator right now? Why did we go do that? Well, the answer is speed upgrades from extra utils. So this speeds up the machines, and while we could do something completely mundane and just slap the speed upgrades in a resonator, which as you can see I've already made some basic ones and tossed them in here, you can actually apply them to other extra utils machines and not just the resonator. And certain types of those machines include the extra utils generators, which causes them to eat their fuel faster and generate more power. In this case, I think I'm going to build the ender generator to use up a lot of those excess pearls we've been using. And the ender generator, well, it uses pearls at a decent rate, but why do that when we can use up eyes of ender, which are just blaze powder, which we have blaze rods coming from our mob farm now. So I figured we go to the second tier of upgrades, which is the magical ones, which requires magical apples and enchanted ingots. And to make these, well, we could do this by just tossing a block of magical wood in with this, or we can just build the Enchanter, which is those apples and lapis lazuli. Which, well, we need to do that anyways to make the enchanted ingot, which is same thing but gold and lapis lazuli. So to make the Enchanter, well, hardest thing in there is the machine block, which is really easy to make. So we should probably go ahead and do that. And now that I've made the Enchanter, I had to prepare an area for it because the extra utils to Enchanter requires the same setup as an enchanting table does. So in this case, we're using the magical wood blocks instead of bookcases to save space. I could have moved it one over to put it right next to the enchanting table, but I wanted to leave a space in between for aesthetics. But they can share the same blocks to power it. So we just slap it down on top of our power supply like that, and it just lights up like that. So now we can just toss in the lapis lazuli, fills up that slot, and some apples. And it very slowly starts chugging through there. So we can throw some upgrades in to make it faster. And this will give us the first set of items we need. The next thing we need are the gold ingots and the lapis lazuli to make the enchanted ingots. This is going to take a little bit. So let me go process all these, and then we can get started on actually making the rest of this. All right, and with that, we now have a stack of 16 of these, which is the max stack these go up to when you put them into a machine, which causes them to eat up significantly more power. For instance, if I toss them all into the Enchanter, you can see that the Enchanter would now drain nearly 24 power instead of the original 4. So it's not that horrific, but keep in mind we only generate a static amount of grid power. Not really a big deal in this case, but it might be more so in the case of the generator. But we'll have to set that up to see, because I have never actually done this before, which is why I'm doing it. We don't really need more power. I just want to try something new. All right, so for the next step, we're going to need a couple machines, because we actually need to make a network to process the blaze rods into blaze powder, and then combine it with an ender pearl to turn it into an eye of ender, and then feed that into the generator. And we want to keep it to reasonable size stacks. So I figured, well, just like this, we might as well use some machines we haven't made before and try to clear up part of the quest log. So to start with, we need to make I'm going to make an Actual Editions crusher, which is now, thankfully, all things we can easily make. It's not the best solution for crushing blaze rods into blaze powder, the macerator actually is, but it's pretty close, and this at least lets us clear out an entry. If we really wanted to, we can turn this into a double crusher to make it go twice as fast, but we shouldn't have any need to do that. The next thing we're going to make is the Cyclic Auto Crafter. I could just use the RF Tools one. Those are actually, honestly, about the same, if not easier to make. But I have never actually made one of these before, and it's pretty similar in how it works. And it's made of relatively easy to get materials as well. So I've gone ahead and made those, as well as the ender generator, which is also really simple to make. And these are all things we can easily get or have made before. So as you can see, I have them all finished. So now let's go set it up in an Xnet network and just see how it works. Alright, so I think I'm just going to tuck it right in this little nook right here, back near my press, because again, it's not like we really need this. I just want to use this for testing purposes. I'm going to actually move all of my power generation stuff out of here in the nearest future to clean up the whole area and give it its own basic building, but for right now, we're just going to shove it in this corner and make it ugly. How's that sound? That okay? Alright, let's get this set up. Alright, and as you can see, I've now got it all properly set up. I had to go slam an energy cube in here. I was originally going to use the cyclic battery to test with, but I couldn't actually get it to work right for some reason. But as you can see, if we go into here, you can see that this is now processing Eyes of Ender into power. And if we go into the crusher, blaze rods into blaze powder, and this, well, we've got to wait for the blaze powder, but it's stacking up. Using the Cyclic Auto Crafter, however, has one side effect I hadn't realized versus an RF Crafter one. It has a much larger output, so it has 10 stacks here instead of the 4 that the RF Tools Crafter would have had. So we'll end up backlogging more items here than otherwise, but this is at least a new tool that I hadn't mucked with before. A larger output buffer might be useful in some cases though. The other things of note that I did in here is if we go into here and we look at this first item channel into the crafter here, you can see that it takes the ender pearls here, and I have it set to a maximum of 64 so that it will never like completely empty out the drawer and fill up the full inventory here, which is a problem I have with the culinary generators that I need to fix. It will only keep a single stack of ender pearls in here and nevermore it won't completely fill up this. So now that we have this, we can see it doesn't have the power completely maxed out yet because it's still filling up all of the other machines and then the battery. So let's toss some of these in here and see how it does. Let's start with 4 of them. And yeah, it's now down to 32 seconds, so it's going to spit through these much faster. Possibly too fast for this, but let's put another 4 in. And now it's at 17 seconds. And at max speed, we are at 9 seconds per. So it's chewing through these a lot faster, and now we're getting a lot more power. So we come down to the cube. Now that the cube's filling up, you can see that it's actually filling up pretty quick. So once this maxes out, the whole thing will be stable and it will stop running. And then I can connect it into the power grid and it should just be fine. But this is just because I could make it, because I've never done this before. So this is a neat little experiment that I've never really worked with. But we'll have to see if it permanently is, if it's eating up ender pearls faster than I can actually pull them out of my mob farm and crop farm or not, and or blaze rods. Although the blaze rods should be a bit more stable since they're 4 at a time. But we'll have to wait and see after this completely fills up. Alright, so taking a look at it, as this is obviously starting to fill up, we're clearly creating them faster than they're getting used by the furnace, which is good. It doesn't appear that it's hitting my stocks too badly overall as well. And this, it's doing 256k at 80 RF a tick, but this is actually going 256k every 9.4 seconds. So we're at probably about at least 25k a second, which is my fastest producing generator right now. Obviously there are things we can do to go much faster, but this is actually producing quite a bit of power. But the whole grid will stabilize soon and then it'll just shut off. But for now, this is actually doing a lot. And you can see how fast it's filling up. This is a really, really large cube and it's only been a couple minutes and it's already 2/3 of the way through. All right, so since we're on a power theme right now, I figured we'd do one last thing before we call it a day today. One more power-related thing, now that we have a decent chunk of the Nuclearcraft ores coming out of my mob farm. And that's finally get around to making those Californium RTGs I was so excited about way back when I first thought I discovered them in a dragon's nest. Unfortunately, well, we just massively outclassed the power by making the ender generator as well as the diesel compression generator to the other episode back. So I guess we can just get this done because this is at least free power. Free power is good, right? Free? Yeah? So to make the RTG, the main stumbling blocks were advanced plating, which requires tough alloy. Well, we now have tough alloy coming out of our mob farm at a decent clip, and it requires 16 alloy ingots per RTG we need to make, since we need 4 of the plates. But we have plenty of that and we can make 3 of them. And since they're free power, I figure we just plug them straight into our main line right here and not even hook them up to battery for now because it just doesn't matter. And we're going to overhaul this all later. This will at least let us pump some free power into the lines to alleviate our other actual generators for now. You'll also notice that when we mouse over this, it says 3000 FE, which says same power as RF power, effectively. That's because these are actually boosted in this mod pack, so that if you look in the recipe, it says that it creates 750. Well, it actually creates 4 times that. So we actually just added another 9,000 RF a tick to our base. Again, still doesn't match up to our other trainers, but it's still quite a bit of free power. All right, so we fought the end dragon and we fought some withers. We won the game, right? Game over. I can stop making these videos. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no, this isn't done at all. Oh no, we have to make some very, very scary things that do not involve killing the dragon or the bosses. I'm going to be at this for quite a bit longer, guys. This is not over yet. So it's a good thing we got a lot more power in our base because we're going to need it. Anyhow, as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.